Yeah, and she kept saying I know this is a dumb dream, and I don't really think anybody will like it.
She's like that, she's like that. It's her
And
personality.
and I'm looking at this dream, and it's just
Yeah.
beautiful. I mean, it's
Yeah.
absolutely beautiful. And
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I sent Sarah her dream too, because we never got to talk about that. But
Yeah.
that's one of the
That's,
most mythical
oh,
dreams.
yeah. Big time dream there.
Well, yeah, because it has a lot to do with the. Well, here's just some of the things I noted on it. I don't. She just has horrible internet. It seemed that there is some type of assimilation of the primitive psyche at some place, and there's these white temenos, and they're all the tints, and they're in this linear fashion facing a field, an open field, like the fields that you've had somewhat.
Kind of a protective formation.
Yes, and but they're facing out to the place of growth, say, a place where the rooted things grow,
Out
and
in nature.
yes, and her tent is the farthest to the left. Now, I'm assuming she says that's when you're facing the tents, or to the right when you're facing the field.
Yeah, I get confused there. Mule's ears start going. Yeah.
Well, I'm assuming, I thought about it both ways, but I'm assuming that is where the dream ego lives, or it resides. So it represents consciousness, or the ego consciousness of even though it's in a sacred place, it's the most conscious of the tens, because the one on the other side with the young mother and the pig and the other man, that is not the most conscious place. So that's on the far other side. So that's the left side. And then there is a poor thing. I was going to talk with her about it, but she just can't get on. And then she's cooking white rice, and she remembers admiring how white the rice was. So all of this whiteness is, has something to do with albedo or spirit, or, it has to do with leaving the earth a little bit, whiteness, the clearness of space, Hi, Charles. And then, hi, Gary. And then it just arrests her attention. And then later, when the sun goes down and we close up our tents without cleaning up, so night closes, and so there's a quality of when the night or the night, the feminine comes on, then it's no longer this world of spiritual assimilation. It's achieved a different, more feminine aspect. I kind of keep worshiping the dark.
Chthonic also, the chthonic things appear.
Very, very chthonic. And then she says, then the gray rat that turns into white when she poisons it. Hi, Tim. I just was going over Sarah's dream. I don't know if she just has so much trouble getting on. And then as dawn comes, all the sort of the parties to this ritual of assimilation come. Now, what is being assimilated is the primitive psyche. I mean, we assimilate the primitive psyche, and then we are able to differentiate it. But I mean, what we're doing by assimilating the psyche is we're recognizing the other in us as objective. And like Edinger was saying, that you can't have a dialogue. You can't see the fish can't have a dialogue with water unless he realizes he's in water. So he needs to know that he's in water before he can talk about water. or, to have a relationship with it, So then, anyway, they, the, everything is balanced. There's this continuity. And then she goes to the farthest left 10. She calls it the farthest right, but it's the farthest left when facing the field. And she finds the young mother. Now she says it's her mother, but I just think it's the young maternal, and the symbolic feminine bearer of life. And there she's cutting up the pig. Now the pig, the inexhaustible pig, who's happy to share himself. Now, this sort of reminds me of the laughing Buddha, who has the big sack of grain, and there's a hole in it, and all the mice are following, eating his grain. But he says, "Happy Buddha," he has plenty to share. He doesn't care, But anyway, the pig is really a very human animal. I mean, it's sort of related to humans a little bit. I mean, the boar has always been related to humans somehow, but it shares of itself. It sacrifices. This is my body, eat of my body. I mean, it's sort of a primitive figure of the inner self. Now this is assimilating the primitive psyche. So Sarah is taking into herself the quality of the depths. So she is bringing into ego consciousness the quality of the depths through the ritual of assimilating it, making it one with her. And the psyche gives of itself, sacrifices itself lovingly and willingly to her, and yet the ego doesn't understand it, So it walks away in a little bit of horror, because the ego still doesn't understand the situation very well. Well, hi Tim. Does anybody? Well, first of all, does anybody have any comments about that dream? Poor Sarah's not here, so we can't discuss it.
Well, she did say that she had problems with the flesh, and she realizes that the body and the flesh is spiritual. So she's working with it.
Yeah, and I think it was wonderful in Dawn's dream, where she learns to control the body through a relationship with the heavenly fixed points, and then at that point, then she can become a point of concentration that penetrates the depths without injuring the ego, sort of a more pointed concentration rather than just splatting on it. Well, Tim, we were just going to talk about your dream when we were rudely interrupted last time. I just, yeah. Well, yeah, I just want to kind of sum up where we were. I mean, you're in a boarding house in a room off the parlor. So you're in an in-between place, a place for wanderers, and you're in the collective area of that place for wanderers. Okay. And you've closed the door, and then you find this very strange old man and strange old woman. Now, they are examining a diorama that you made of I'm not saying an icy mountain, I'm saying an ice mountain. This is an iceberg in the cold part of the world. Now, what we were going to talk about last time is this iceberg. And most icebergs, I've been looking at some pictures of them since Monday, and what you see above the surface is just probably, I'd say, about 7/8 of the iceberg. And
you mean the other way around? 1/8 below.
Yeah, 1/8 above and 7/8 below. Right. So most of it is in the depths. And so it's this great, and it really reminds me of the whales' dreams, where these great figures of the depths, Now, yeah, this one is very abstract, and that's why I was wondering if you could tell us again what you saw in your vision at the end of the world. Can you remember how you described that?
Yeah. Um, let's see. How do I make this short? I did this vision quest up into the hills, and this was in March. It was snowing actually, and I went to the end of the civilized world where there's a fence beyond which is the national forest and these mountains. And so I'm peering into the kind of this dark valley and then the beginning of this big mountain. So it felt like the beginning of the wilderness. And I didn't want to, I felt like I was taking my flag from the civilization and moving it to the very edge of civilization. And I didn't want to take it over the fence into the wilderness. I just wanted to be at the edge where I could still be in control, but see over the landscape of the wilderness. So
was there something about it that was a little uncomfortable or not?
Yeah. And I found myself standing on this really pointed rock that had a lot of shards sticking up. And so I was barefoot and you know, it's snowing and there's these really razor-like rocks sticking up. So a very similar kind of thing, an icy landscape with a snow-covered mountain in front of me.
Yeah. And what do you think that this then maybe an iceberg is not a right description for this then? Maybe it's just an iced mountain in some similar landscape to the one you saw just described a second ago. Probably a little more accurate.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not really at sea. You're in an even colder part of the world, or a more remote part of the world than northern Montana.
Well, in the diorama, it did feel like an iceberg because I had the option of putting a weight in it and making
Yes, that was where I got the iceberg, that there was this aspect that you could make it float, and so, I mean, this just seemed very similar to the wilderness dream, but it seemed a little almost more, say, evocative or suggestive of this psyche far away from the ego, and it did remind me, I don't know about anybody else, but of Moby Dick, sort of this, a very godlike iceberg. Let's just talk about that a little bit. Roy and Gary and Charles, I mean, do you have any question? Well, let's finish the dream. Why don't we finish the dream first? Then, so you made the diorama. I'm thinking putting a weight, a broken piece of styrofoam so it would float with the pointy part sticking up. That's where I got the iceberg. So then they're upset and the old man grills me. Okay, now I think that the idea is that you think that this is a very, what you describe as a theological argument, but I think what you really mean is that it is a divine referent. It is referring to something that is absolutely sacred and primordial in the psyche, and also has a transformative character. I mean, you can call that a theological argument, but I was trying to get to the more experiential side of that statement.
What do you think? I'm not sure where to go with that.
Because I think you're more talking about an experiential argument. Well, let's say this: it's almost a visionary. It's it's a visionary type of image, not something that you got out of the Bible, you know.
Yeah, I've been thinking about it in the last couple of days more as a dichotomy between the theoretical and the experiential.
That's the thing, because it's so abstract, you know. I mean, how could you be more abstract than this object, which 7/8 of it is unseeable, you know. It's implied but not visible. Okay, now that kind of describes the unconscious. You know, it's implied but it's not visible. You know, I mean, you know it's there, but senses can't uh, experience it. The senses, the only way that you can experience is you know it's there. It's
Yeah.
in the depths, even though it's not visible, you know, and it's real, and there's no doubting it, you know. It's ponderous. It's, you can see the tip of it, but you're not seeing anything of what's below, you know.
Yeah, and
So
this is
anyway,
repeated, it seems like in the difference between the old man and the woman,
yes,
that he, in my mind, I'm thinking that he represents the upper part of the iceberg.
yes,
You know,
the
the
visible part.
right.
Mhm.
And when he leaves, the woman grabs me and says, "No, it's much more than this." You know,
Yes, I
so
mean, you can't call it. See, here's that you this now I'm jumping to conclusions here, but I'm saying that when you said that, then suddenly this is the way I'm interpreting what you're saying, is that she is saying you are both too shallow. Neither one of you have any idea how unfathomable this thing is, you know. So I mean, you're both trying to intellectualize it. It's beyond speech, beyond words, you know. She grabs me and she's, don't call this, don't theorize about this. It's not something you can theorize about. You might be able to theorize about what's above the sea, but don't sully the 7/8 below with words and soil it with your tongue, you know, because it's too deep for you or for us, you know. Now that might be a little extreme, but okay. Now you see the others. Okay. All I'm saying is let's talk more about the old man and the old woman. Okay, the old man, I think you're right, is because he seems a little bit surface oriented, and he's talking about the part you can see, and wants you to explain it. You can't explain. You can explain the upper part, but you can't explain the lower part. And when he leaves, she feels free to speak and says, "You guys are." It's almost like you're blaspheming this great symbol. Well, anyway, I think I jumped off the deep end here. What do you think, Roy? Oh, you're muted.
Okay. Yeah, I was relating to the last dream that Tim had, where he's up on a snowy mountain coming down in the fast car, and he gets stuck on a roof. You
It was
know,
a mysterious dream. Very
the
mysterious.
height, the height, and the depth have terror,
Mhm.
and
Yes.
and so Tim goes to this place of terror. You know, I think his obsession with the anima, you know, the anima is really about illusion.
Mhm.
I mean, to be obsessed with the anima is be obsessed with an illusion, which
An
is,
image, more
you know,
would
the
make.
Sphinx, the
Yeah.
Sphinx had questions that you couldn't answer. Men love that because, you know, they seek the depth and the height, and they love that. They want to answer the question. They want to go there. it's sort of an anima thing. And it has to do with illusion. Of course, an artist would love that because an artist would want to capture that. And I think the dream's telling him that, hey, you know, you're an old man now. It's not going to happen. You know, you want to get back in touch with, you know, the salt of the earth. Just as Jung says, the truth is the same as the absurd. It's one and the same as the absurd. It's time to come back and experience the absurd. You've gone too far with the truth. I mean, that's my point. I don't know. That's just my life and what I've experienced, and I just picked that up out of the stream.
Well, that's great.
Yeah, let's just kind of review that first part of that dream. You know, he's in a competition in the Anima's white car. He's going to go down the road that's full of snow. It's the ego feels very confident that it can do this, you know, descend from this high point. Yet it spins totally out of control, rolls a couple times, and then the Anima's missing. She disappeared. You know, there's just something, Tim, that's a very eerie image, and it just kind of, you know, it almost, it's just, it's almost symbolic of some of the anima paintings you have too. You know, I don't know. But then the car descends now without seemingly anybody driving it, you know. And who is driving the car on the way down?
Well, I'm still in the driver's seat, but
Well, you're still in the driver's seat, but
I didn't realize it's moving.
Yeah, you didn't. It's moving of itself, isn't it?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So nobody's really driving it at that point. So the only time that it can descend properly is when the ego's not in control. When the ego tries to take over this descent with the anima, it ends up, you know, that the descent is, it does not happen the way it should happen. And then suddenly there's the absence of the anima. And I don't know what happened to her. I don't know if she turned into the vehicle or what, but she's gone, you know. And then there's the very strange image with John's at John's house, the house that was halfway between your studio and your former home, and you're up on the roof and can't get down, and he let's see, there is it's you're sitting on the edge on the second floor, apparently stable but scared, 2 levels up, perched on the precipice again, ego's alarmed. You check the downspout in the gutter, and but there's no way down. And it's evening, and you haven't seen John recently, and you assume he's gone. Finally, the neighbor comes out on the sidewalk. You ask him to find you a ladder. He brings one, and he calmly proceeds to get you a ladder. And so how did you get up there? Why did the anima disappear? I mean, there's a lot of interesting questions in the dream. But let's go back to the first one. I just wanted to review that from what Roy's saying, because that one is a very mysterious dream. But anyway, so to finish this other dream, go ahead.
There's a note that Sarah's waiting to get into the meeting.
Oh, sure. Okay. Darn it. I got 3 of them here. I'm sorry. All right. I'm sorry, Dawn and Kevin. I was falling asleep at the switch here. Okay. Well, anyway, so let's Gary, why don't I shut up? Wait, what do you think about, I'm going to put Tim's dream in the chat again here. See if I can, I got a few notes on it, but
are you referring to the first dream or the current one?
Well, I think the one uh, um, the iceberg diorama. I was just mentioning the previous one
Yeah, yeah.
because of
I don't
and
know.
I do think that they're close. I mean, I'm just saying these dreams all, Tim, seem to me to have a mysterious inner connection, and your vision as well. And I'm the abstract part of it, um, the strange relationship of the ego with the depths, with the abstract depths, and with the feminine depths. It's just, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. I'm just saying um, it's really of great mystery. And I'm not saying that I mean, I just think it's a deep mystery to me, like a detective novel. Okay, well, let me see if I can get it in there. I think I put a little stuff in there that might make it a little hard to read because I didn't get a chance to finish it. But anyway, so the iceberg diorama is in a boarding house in a room off the parlor with a couple watching TV. So he's in this place for wanderers in the collective area. He closes the door. Old man and a wife, they're a strange couple, are examining this diorama he's made of what appears to be a floating iceberg in the cold part of the world. And it's a 3D model too. That's a diorama, right, Tim?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's uh, he's trying to do something about the pointy part that's above the water, right? With the styrofoam, the pointy
Yeah.
part. Is that what you mean? So now the old man gets upset about the pointy part that's up above the water, and um, wants Tim to explain it. And Tim doesn't like to explain his art. He says, no, I've lost interest in talking about it. And then he goes upstairs and goes to bed. And then the mysterious old woman comes in after he's left, and she feels free to talk. And she seems to be saying, I'm reading this into that you both are trivializing this lower aspect of the iceberg. And I don't know if that. I mean, I'm reading that in from what you said, Tim. Do you think that she it knows the secret of this iceberg better than either you or the old man?
Um, my sense of it is that they didn't know really anything about this model.
Neither one of them did.
Yeah.
Okay. What do you think, Gary?
Well, I think it's interesting that when he wants to push for the depths, he's going to add the weight to the styrofoam, which would put it into the depths. But that seems to be the thing that triggers all of this nonsensical outer world stuff, and of course, I think, it is kind of a commentary on life that sometimes when we push for the depths, the outer world really doesn't like it. It's like, why aren't you just being a part of us? Even with these, he tries to shut off the parlor room with the TV, and then there's the two people that are looking at the diorama, and they don't want anything changed, maybe, why are you going to try to make this deeper than it is?
I like that. I mean, that's true to the dream. Uh, what I really liked it is from from shutting the parlor door, the discussion with the old man and the old woman start after you do what Gary described. After you start to change it, suddenly they both become very interested in a confrontational way. Don't you think? What do you think about that? I mean, why are they so confrontational, Tim? Do you think?
I don't know. There's something about it that was the confrontation was surprising.
Yeah, it
It's,
is surprising. It's
it felt to me
unexpected.
like, hey, I'm just going to show you this thing, and all of a sudden they're upset. What's
Yeah.
that about?
It's very unjustified, uh, an unjustified attack on this, and then suddenly the ego becomes uninterested, and yet the emotion and the passion on their side remains. You know, I mean, they seem much more emotional about it and engaged in it emotionally than you do. So apparently, there is a tie between the old man and the old woman and the image of the iceberg. You know, I mean, there's this tie between them. Like you are irrelevant here, almost. You know, although the old man wants you to explain it, and the old woman thinks you're both nuts. You know.
Yeah, and in the compensatory way, I'm wondering if the message isn't that there's something really important going on that the ego just won't recognize or doesn't want to deal with.
Yeah.
And what
See,
is that about?
let's take the big themes. The big themes are this iceberg and in the cold, remote place. That is the core of the dream. What is the meaning of that? You know, now it appears in this place for wanderers. So it doesn't appear in any fixed abode. So it's in this place of this middle place that you see it, you know. Now in this middle place that you see it are this very strange couple. Now the fact that they seem slightly malevolent, you know, for no justified reason, in this place for wanderers, and they become very emotional. In fact, I think they like the diorama more than you do. One wants it explained, and the other one doesn't want you to explain it. What do you think that she's really saying that you shouldn't be explaining this, right? You shouldn't be making a theological argument about it.
Or not limiting to that.
Yeah.
You know, she
Or
seems like the earthy character, trying
yes,
to
the
get me
earthy, the
to feel
underneath
it, you know,
character.
to engage it with my body rather than with my head.
So yeah, so what you're really confronting is logos and eros, you know, who
Mm-hmm.
are opposed to each other. So in this image of the iceberg, you have constellated logos and eros who are not compatible with each other in the first place, and you're kind of in between them, you know. And one wants to bring meaning to it, and the other one says, no, it's only a medium of expression. You know, don't add words to it. You know, so it's almost like a work of art speaking to you. Don't over intellectualize this. And the other one says, what does it mean? You know, I mean, and how do you find the balance between those two? But again, I think we're circumambulating a little bit here. What do you think, Charles? Are you able to unmute yourself?
Yeah, yeah. I don't really have a whole lot to say on this one. It's yeah, I don't know. I really don't know what to say about this one. It's a little over my head.
Yeah. Don't you think we're creeping up on it a little bit, though? I don't know. I think we're creeping up on it. What do you think, Carl? You have any comments or?
Hi.
Hi.
So there. Yeah, what you said about the Eros and Logos.
Yes.
I was actually talking about this today. That's funny. I mean, not in that terms, but my problem with the church is how they try to put God in a box.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess that would be, the old man. And, Tim, it sounds like, Tim wasn't interested in explaining it. to him, and he was asking for this, you know, what's the definition, or what's your explanation of it? What's the meaning? And, you know, the old woman was saying, well, you shouldn't be trying to explain it at all. I agree. I mean,
Yeah.
sorry, my screen's all messed up.
Yeah. Well, that's okay. I'm going to just see if I can unshare your screen a little bit. Oh, no, wait, I don't want to do that. Can you unshare your screen? You don't have to, but I mean, I get the white.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I didn't know what that was.
Yeah, that's fine. Well,
Okay,
anyway.
so yeah, just yeah, I think it's Logos and Euros. That's
Well, it's something resembling them. I'm not exactly sure, but you know, I do know that this dream has a message that we need to find, and it's not just a random dream. This seems to have a very have a message here, and I think it's starting to formulate a little bit. What do you think, Kevin?
Yeah, I haven't seen too much into it, so I'm gonna give a very brief, like just a few pointers. Like, I don't know, I feel like it has to do with your collective conscious view. There are people watching TV, so I feel like it's a part of you that is observing the collective, the society, and so on in some shape or form. And within this frame of mind, the cynics is in there, and somewhat woman. And he also says that when you're freed from this cynical figure, I just had a quick read, so he might not be that cynical to you, but at least when you're freed from this person, the woman has then the energy to pull you back against the door. And so I feel like this view of this older man's view has now, like you said, gone to sleep. So I would say, from the just quick overview, I would say a person's view of the collective, in that sense that one's, you can say, somewhat cynical view has now gone to sleep. So there is a change of attitude in that way, and now a stronger force is now, putting you behind the door. So so the change would be probably your ego is now more succumb even more to the feminine, which I find very interesting, because you have worked with the feminine for such a long time. So I can't explain quite why she would put you, like she would be so forceful towards you again. So yeah, that's pretty much what
I think I have not seen it yet in your dreams, Tim, and I would really like to have I'd like to take, I mean, what the ideal way would be to have all of the dreams that you've presented so far, and to try to see where it fits. But the aspect of the feminine here is not the nymph. It's a very older maternal. So see, it seems to be more elemental feminine. And so the two things that are, let's say, what are the most surprising things in this dream? Okay. To me, the two most surprising things in the dream are the image of the iceberg in the cold, remote place is stark and very powerful. Okay. Just considering that image, because what does it mean? You know, it is a if this was let's say on the altar of the church or whatever religion you were in, it was the symbol of that religion. What would you think if you saw the symbol of the religion was an iceberg in a cold, remote place? What would be the nature of that myth and that religion if that was the central symbol of that myth? Do you see the kind of energies that evokes in me anyway? Is
Yeah.
when I'm considering the iceberg, this is why it's very similar to Moby Dick. And you know, the book Moby Dick is about the Old Testament God, is really what it's about. You know, the great white whale, this one who seemingly just is oblivious to everything, you know, and yet I don't know. I don't want to go into that, but okay, that's one aspect. The most surprising aspect on the other side is the ferocity of this older woman, you know. And now she is not an anima figure. She's a maternal figure, who does not necessarily appear all that positive, but that could be because we're out of sync, not her, you know. I mean, I'm not sure which one of us is out of sync, her or us, you know. I mean, if we're out of sync, she is justified in her anger. If she's out of sync, then she's, you know, this is an unjustified attack. But Tim didn't seem to do anything wrong other than to sort of talk about this a little bit intellectually. And I think that she took offense for that reason, you know, that this was being too trivialized. I mean, that's the sort of the, you know, I'm not holding to that opinion. What do you think, Tim?
Yeah, or maybe maybe I tried to explain it, and I just don't have no memory of that. And because the old man was asking, "Are you going to say more about it?"
Yes.
And so maybe
she lost interest.
Yeah, and I just didn't want to participate. So maybe she was angry because of whatever it was that I had said about it.
Mm-hmm.
But again, that kind of leads me back to this idea that it's too intellectualized.
Yeah, well, I mean, let's just quickly let me just give one more stab, and then I'd like to hear if Dawn or Sarah have anything to say. Okay, now. First of all, let's talk about the place we're in. You know, we're in a place of transience. We're in a place for travelers or wanderers who are perhaps staying more than just one night. You know, we're staying maybe because we just have a job here, or some reason. What are the reasons to stay in a boarding house? It's not a fixed abode, but so we're in this sort of a transient place. So it's sort of the middle realm. It's sort of the realm of soul, and somehow while we're there in the collective place, we've been keeping ourselves busy, and we've made a 3D model of a very strange image, and that is an ice mountain, which is 1/8 above water and 7/8 below. Okay, why would ego do that? You know, I mean, it's sort of like it sort of reminds me of what's that one movie where the guy makes the mountain out of mud? You know?
Oh, E.T.
Yeah, he makes it, and it's actually the mountain that he. I mean, see, the ego is almost making this mountain, even though it is the very model of the mountain where the most fabulous thing in the universe is soon to occur. You know, but the ego somehow says, "Hey," you know, almost unconsciously makes it, okay? And then it's going to add something to it. Now, this old woman and old man, this very mysterious couple, venerable and ancient, yet are they wise, or are they just representing the old king and the old queen? You know, are they representing the static, fixed aspects that are inhibiting new growth, you know, or do they represent the old ancient wisdom? I mean, I'm torn between those two because they don't seem to be very mature. You know, they seem to be volatile, you know. So to me, they almost tend more to the aspect that inhibits growth, inhibits the new thing, you know. And so this very sacred image they bring almost a quality to it which is trying to destroy its magic. You know, one wants to explain it, and the other one, I don't know what the hell she's doing. You know, do you think in any way they're adding to the mysterious nature of this image, Tim? Do you think that they have are in any way helping out to honor the profundity of the image?
Well, precisely because it's so surprising.
Yeah, it is. That's why I'm saying there's two things in here that we can take away from, and that is this: the why the ego, almost like making that mountain in ET, decided to make this. I am saying it is for someone to try to portray this out of the blue is not a coincidence. People don't do this out of the blue. Just, hey, I'm going to do an iceberg. You know, I mean, I think that this was this is a message to ego, clear message that you are just this little thing above water. I am this vastness below, you know. Are you going to get that message or not? In fact, somehow I make your hands to manifest this message in the outer world. And then we meet with this mysterious couple, which seem to represent either a very two-dimensional logos and eros. It doesn't seem very deep logos and eros that are almost squabbling about it. You know, I mean, but again, we don't know the answer to this riddle yet. You know, and the answer to the riddle is: are we overestimating or underestimating the older couple? You know, what is their role here? I think the fact that the woman is so surprising means that there is something in her that we're missing, you know, and that she's important. Sarah or Dawn, did you have any comments about it? I don't know if you've caught the whole thing, but I'm sorry I missed. I was blathering again, and I didn't look at who wanted in. Well, you don't have to talk. I know, Sarah. Go ahead, Dawn.
What was the weight for? Was it to balance the mountain, or I didn't know what the weight was for?
On the styrofoam.
What I'm thinking is, in the dream, I'm thinking if I put a weight on one end, it'll make the iceberg stand up.
Okay, and so there's you're making a statement. Now, okay, let's say that someone objected to this. Why would they object to it? Is because you're making the ego more prominent, right? Or not? Why would you want the iceberg to be more up above water, right?
Yeah, I don't think I said that. I was just thinking it.
Yeah. Okay.
And so if they're upset, it's because of something else. It's
yeah,
the way the model is built, or what I had said before, or something.
Okay. Well, anyway, I mean, the things that are okay. Sarah, did you have anything to say about or not? I wanted to go into your dream next, Sarah, if you can stay on.
She says not now.
Okay, not now. Fine. Okay. All right. Now, we're not done with this dream, Tim. I think we need to sleep on it a little bit. I need to read the original text a little bit more. If you have the original text, would you put in there? Because I screwed it all.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. Okay. Roy or Gary, or do you have any other comments? Roy? Yeah, you can unmute. You got to unmute yourself, Roy. Okay, let me see if I can unmute.
Roy, we can't hear you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay, you left the last sentence out, which is, I hope the others see us to make her embarrassed, but they're apparently gone.
Yes.
Her strength is no match for mine, but I allow her to force me. Remember when Jung was writing the Red Book, and he had an argument with, when he was developing the anima, he was having an argument with this woman that told him what he was doing was art. And he was trying to convince her that, no, it's science. And they had this big argument. Well, Jung engaged this in an act of imagination and whatever, and worked it out. Tim's not engaging. It's like Apollo. He's up on the mountain. He doesn't want to engage this, what we're calling, oh, these are just insignificant people. These people aren't contributing to growth. Well, what contributes to growth is to engage, defend yourself. These are the gods. These people in this dream aren't humans. They're gods. They might be in disguise. They're not insignificant. They're important to the dream.
Ego makes this thing almost by accident, and it seems like it was compelled to do it. In Red Book, what she says is, Jung says, "What is this I'm doing?" And then it's this voice says, "This is art." Now, the reason Jung objects to it, because he says, no, this is not just art. This is the process of integrating the inner and outer worlds, And so it seems like art, but what I'm doing is I am integrating the inner and the outer worlds, and that's not art, It's not just, he's not just a conduit, he's a partner in creating the redeeming symbol, that is going to create the new God,
Yeah, the point is he's defending himself.
Yeah.
He goes to great lengths to defend himself.
Yes, and that's what Tim has to do. Tim has to do this too,
I mean, he could engage this lady in active imagination and see why she's hysterical. She's hysterical. He's not hysterical. He's calm.
Yeah, I know. And then the fact that that's a very important last sentence. I hope the others see us to make her embarrassed, but they've apparently gone. Her strength is no match for me, but I allow her to force me up against the wall. Yeah, I would say, go ahead.
I think that's right, Roy, that I need to do an active imagination with her, figure out why she's so angry.
I think that would help us out a lot, Tim, because I think it's not clear what her intentions are. I mean, it is not clear who she is, what she represents, or whatever. But I'd say that, let's just put it this way. If you looked at the story of the dream, the story is that in this place of wandering, the place for wanderers, you create a very abstract and yet mysteriously profound image, okay? And you're still working on it. And then these two almost trickster, malevolent figures come in and spoil the spirit of that image. And for what reason did they do it is not clear, because we don't know who they are and what they want. So, I mean, we just need a few more details about who are you? What is your objection here? And I think that would be really helpful. Gary, did you have any closing comments on it or not? You don't? Okay. Well, let's go to Sarah's fabulous dream. Let's see if I can put it in. Again, let's see if I can put the dream in there, if I can find it. I kind of screwed it up because I put a bunch of comments on it. Let me me see. I'll try to find it. But anyway, I can go through it right now. Unless, Sarah, if you can put it in the chat, that'd be fine. But let's see. Maybe I can find it real quick here. But it starts out with a group of her and her friends are having a sort of a food festival in a large field. So it's kind of a almost a when you're eating things, you're ingesting things. So it's you're like assimilating. Here it is. Let's see. Sarah. Let's see. I'm not sure if I could find it. All right. Here it is. Let's see. Oh, well, I can't find it right now. I'll get it in a second. Okay. There's a group of friends, and they were having some sort of food festival out in a large field. So it's almost a festival of assimilation. And what we're assimilating is whenever we assimilate things, take this bread and eat it. This is my body. Now, who says that? The psyche says that. The personalized, personified form of the psyche says, take this bread and eat of it. It's my body. Now, you can say that's the Christ, but it's really the personified form of the archetype of wholeness. Okay, who's called the Christ. But it's really is the personified form of our personal self. There is a personal self, and then there's an impersonal self. But this is the one we were born with. So it's related to the anima, but it's in us. Okay, now we had white tents lined up in a straight line, all facing towards the open field. Okay, now these are white tents, so they're white. There's a lot of white in this dream. So it represents that she, at least in the daytime, is very affiliated with whiteness. And that means clearness, white, in French, blanc, it means blank or space. It's whiteness. It's clear, clear, no colors, no obstructions. And so it kind of represents spirit, And now her tent, Sarah's tent, is to the farthest to the left when facing the tents, or to the right when facing the field. So I am thought about this, and I think it's on the right. Okay, because I think facing the field is the direction of the dream, not facing the tents. There's no reason to face the tents. Everything faces the field. The tents face the field. So the tent is on the right. Okay. Now, she's cooking white rice. Okay. And she remembers pausing and admiring how white the rice was. Now, who does that? Who sits and admires these little, almost white, like egg-like grains, and they are a wonderful. Have you ever looked at rice? I mean, is that now? Is that the kernel of the rice, or is it? I mean, was there a husk on it, or does it come out that color when from the field? I'm sure it's been husked. No rice farmers. Okay. Well, anyway, so she's admiring this beautiful whiteness, But when she cooks it, it transforms into a more earthy color. Okay. So it changes from the spiritual food, the white spiritual food, takes on earthy qualities when it's given cooking. And cooking means attention of the ego. So when the ego cooks the spirit, it becomes more earthy. How do you like that? Okay, that's what the dream is saying, I think. Okay, later the sun goes down and we close up our tents without cleaning up. Okay, so the night closes in and it gets quiet. So really the spiritual, the light of the spiritual festival turns into a little more chthonic feminine realm, you know. Now she sleeps on a bunch, now she could sleep in the tent, but she doesn't sleep in the tent. She sleeps on a stack of wooden pallets, you know. Okay, now these are kind of foundations for the spiritual food. This is what the spiritual food rested on, you know. And she's sleeping on the foundations of spiritual food or of psyche, you know. And she notices us. I just want to, it reminds me of something. There was a woman named Lillian Fry Rohn, whose father was the head of the ETH in Zurich and was the guy that hired Jung to give lectures there. And she then later became an analyst. And she said of Jung, every day with Jung was filled with rich spiritual food. You know, that was her opinion anyway. And, but you know, one time she would go to Ascona, which was where the Iranos, am I pronouncing that right? The Iranos lectures took place. And every Christmas, Jung's son Franz and his son would come to this Christmas party dressed as the Black Santa Clauses. And they would read, make fun of everybody there, you know. And one of the things he said about Lillian Fry Rohn, and you can tell this if you look at the pictures at Iranos, he says, is it true that there exists a picture of Jung at Iranos without Lillian Fry Rohn in it? You know, she was in every picture. It's kind of a, you know, a photobomb. But anyway, she sleeps on the stack of old wooden pallets, the foundations for this seemingly this psychic food that we're going to assimilate. Now, what this means is that the ego is going to take in the primordial psyche for the first time, and it is going to let it become part of its form now. So now it's not going to be just ego anymore. It's going to be ego assimilating psyche. Okay, that's the idea of the assimilation. Take this bread. This is my body. You know. Okay. So now she notices that looks into a hole, and there is a gray rat, a mixture of black and white. You know. Now she's nervous about it. It's usually rats. You know. I guess they're gray. All of them are gray. But she's nervous about the rat around the food, and she sprinkles poison on it, you know, which also can be kind of a little bit of a some kind of a enchantment powder. And the next morning, the rat is completely white but dead, you know. So now she's taken the life out of the rat by making it spiritual. So there's maybe spiritual, I mean, first of all, that rat is not exactly pleasant, but then she kills it with spirit, okay? So she takes the evil that's attacking the spiritual food, and she kills it with spirit. I will make you white, and then you will die. You know, I mean, that's the poison, to turn this evil gray rat white. It can't live as a white rat, Okay, you know, then people start showing back for the food, and they had to rush and clean and sanitize and throw out the old food from the day before. And they thought she was a little bit nervous, but as she goes around checks, so everything's fine now. There seems to be a balance in this place where there's a ritual occurring. Now, so everything seems like it's going fine, and there's nothing shocking to consciousness right now of this assimilating food. It's very conventional, okay? There's nothing unconventional about it. So ego's very comfortable and thinks everything's fine until it goes in to the tent on the farthest left side, okay? The one that's farthest away from consciousness. And what's going on there? You know, there is the young maternal there. Now, she says it's her own mother, but I think it represents more the young maternal, the motherly aspect of the bearer of life, of new life. You know, she is there. Now, what is she doing there? She's not. She's this. She's one who's of childbearing age. But what is she doing there? She's preparing food, chopping food, talking and laughing. And she has a pig who is a loving pig, a pig that's just very loving and giving of itself. Okay. Now this pig is being, while it's alive, having parts of it sliced off for the people to assimilate. Not to really eat, but to make part of ego, you know, to make this, to be introduced to ego consciousness, which is heretofore known nothing of such food. Okay, now the what is being served is the primordial psyche, the undifferentiated depths, which ego has not been able to be acquainted with enough yet to have become a God, like the new God, who could be called the Christ or the Redeemer. Let's say that this is one that's a little more primitive, but we need to assimilate the primitive psyche before it can become this redeeming thing. We just need to be introduced to it, you know. Now it's on its back, and it is it's giving of itself lovingly. And I was telling Roy and Tim and Gary, reminds me of the fat Buddha. If you've ever seen these, he's carrying this big bag of rice on his back, laughing Buddha. And he's a laughing Buddha. He reminds me of the pig. Okay, now his sack of rice has got a great big hole in it, and all his food is running out, and the little mice are coming and eating it. But the caption will say, "Happy Buddha, his sack is leaking, but he doesn't care. There's enough for all." Now, that's what the psyche is saying to us, you know. This is my body. You know, take this bread. This is my body. And what we're, you know, the ego consciousness, the image that ego consciousness is repelled by this. Eat your body? What does that mean? Well, this is not a human being or a living being talking. This is the primordial depths who's talking. Take my body and make it part of your awareness, your consciousness. So this is really what the Eucharist is, you know, is take this bread. This is my body. Why would we want to eat your body? Because we want to unite the inner and the outer worlds. And this is the ritual that announces this union, you know. So it seems to me, I mean, this is such a beautiful mythical dream. You know, I mean, I just had chills the first time I read it. Anyway, I kind of waxed a little bit to there. Sorry. But I've been thinking about this, and Tim, I'm not done with your dream, damn it. I'm going to keep going on that one. What do you think, Roy?
Yeah. I wonder what Sarah would say if she had this foreknowledge from Craig and you're going to explain the pig. Oh, yeah. Don't you see this? Hey, Mom, everybody, this is the Eucharist here. You know, we're serving this up. This is my body, eat of my body, drink of my blood. You know, isn't this something? What does she have to say about that if she explained it that way?
Mm-hmm. Well, Sarah, do you have any comments on it? You know, I hope I'm not too shocking about it, but I mean, I just think it's a beautiful mythical dream, and I don't know if, you know, Tim has had some very mythical dreams. I mean, that beautiful dream about the house with the inscriptions on the outside, and then the courtyard filled with water. What do you think, Sarah? Or you can't talk. Okay, well, all right. You like what we just said. Okay, good. Thanks. Gary, what do you think?
I find the rat in this kind of interesting because at one point it's seen as, you know, a danger that all the food will, you know, all the sustenance will be wrecked, that the event will be destroyed. And then it turns out that the rat is redeemed and kind of made more, you know, more apart, that it's not seen as something bad. So it's like, it's a, you know, a redemption there.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was interesting. And I wonder, you know, to me, it's like, I kind of feel like this is one of these things she should be painting scenes out of to, you know, probably try to pull things out of the subconscious to find out, well, you know, what did the rat represent, and like, how did I find out that, oh my gosh, you know, that this part, which I thought was horrible and would wreck things, was actually acceptable and had no ill effect.
There's certain aspects of it that are shocking to ego, but ego is always shocked when it encounters a non-human primordial depths. The psyche is not exactly human, you know. It's more related to deep nature, and that's why, you know, when I show that figure of the bear, I'm saying that's the way it talks to the bear. The bear doesn't have language, so it talks in these images, yet very cleverly in a story format. What do you think, Tim?
I'm really intrigued with the animals. The first time I heard it, I thought about the white rat as being maybe a lab rat, something that could be helpful in understanding greater issues. But now I'm thinking of it more like a spiritual version of a frightening aspect. Mm-hmm. So a regular rat is just frightening and dirty, but a white rat has this kind of spiritual aspect. Mm-hmm. And
like a dove.
Yeah. And also the pig seems like a really rich symbol, this endless feast kind of connected with the body and the earth, you know, this very visceral element that sacrifices itself for your nurture and yet is endless in its capacity. That to me is just an astonishing symbol.
Well, it is very related to the cornucopia.
Yeah.
You know, now the boar is a very close has always been very powerful in human myths, and in Celtic myths, there's the sea god is called Manannán MacLír, and he lives at the bottom of the ocean, and he was the one that has the inexhaustible pig, you know, that's served every night. So all of his guests get to eat pig, and then the next morning the pig's running around, you know. So, but the fact that they chose a pig to be the sacrificed, you know, the sacrificial, what sacrifices of itself willingly is. Let's try to figure a different word for the pig. It is the I think actually the boar was a very noble animal. See, that's why I'm saying I wish we could get another name than the pig.
It's like a royal animal.
Yes, the boar is it was an animal that was they were the ones in Europe anyway, you know, would weigh 300-400 pounds, and they could be very dangerous, had these tusks, you know. So there was just an element about them that was magnificent, you know. Kevin, did you have any comments?
Yes, yeah, sure. Yeah, like I said, this is a very powerful archetypal dream. Archetypal dream is essentially telling our life script and life story. And so this goes straight into your DNA, basically. Literally, it's in your DNA, whether you like it or not. And so, I don't know, like I read about just right now about Tisumophoria. It's like a religious before ritual, and it's a fertility rite they used to do before, which they sacrifice pig, and they also used to build the first day they used to build telts, and this is I feel like it's happening in your dream. It's not a pig, it's God, whether you like the word or not. It's God we are seeing being sacrificed. In many religion or many ritual, when the king cannot longer fertilize the land, they would kill the king, so the life principle could reincarnate. So this is the pig. So I would ask myself, why would the life principle had to reincarnate in you? You know, what were you going through yourself that he had to do that? Because he has to do it when the life and when the land is no longer fertile. So it means that it's no longer creative. That's one aspect of it. Another aspect, I feel like I said before, it's connected to eating and so on. And yeah, and perhaps the third aspect, or I already said it, the third aspect, it relates to your archetypal script. It's your life story, and I would read the myth about. It's called Tesumophoria, and how they engage in ritual. It wouldn't surprise me if you believe in paganism and magic from this dream. You know, that's the power of archetypal dream. You can tell a person's often life before they know it themselves. So yeah.
Yeah, I would say, Sarah, this is this is a lot of responsibility to take on. I'm not sure exactly how old you are, but I mean, this is a extremely profound announcement. You know, I mean, it's at this festival of assimilation. The psyche has invited us to assimilate it, okay, and assisted by the maternal, the great mother. So the great mother and the psyche are inviting us to assimilate the unconscious at the festival of assimilation, you know, which is everywhere you look is spirit, you know, everywhere you look is white, and all malevolent things can be neutralized with whiteness, like the rat. You know, the threatening aspects to the spirit have no power here. They can be neutralized with spirit. It's just it is a very profound dream, and it's a very unusual dream too. For I'm not saying just it seems like you know, men are so abstract. They often get weird archetypal dreams, but for a woman to get an archetypal dream like this seems to me even more mysteriously meaningful. I mean, what is it asking of us? I don't know, but I mean, for a man to be asked this, who really is not, who's a little more silly, you know, biologically, I don't know. I mean, there's just something about a man that is disconnected, and he's almost automatically abstract. And so when he's asked to do something like this, it says, okay, well, no problem. But when we ask the bearer of life to do this, it to me, it's a much more resonant bell that's being struck. You know, I mean, there's a resonance there. I would say that what that really is it's my problem. The resonance is something in the feminine psyche that I have no access to. You know, I want to tell you, this morning I had this wonderful experience where I asked several figures, like, what do I lack? I asked the simple anima, and she told me, well, you lack just, you know, the relatedness and with people, you know. And then I asked this mysterious anima, who's, you know, what do I lack? And she says, you can't cast my spells. You're the victim of my spells. You don't cast them, you know. And then I asked the forest, what do I lack? You know, I'm asking, and I asked the river what I lacked, and I asked the great old mother what I lacked. And, you know, and I asked Inanna what I lacked, and they told me. And I found out I lack a lot. You know? I mean, I'm really don't have access to this, but I'm just saying, it just made my heart, you know, very, it felt a closeness to the earth that I don't feel in my own dreams, you know. So anyway, I don't know what you think of the dream, or whether you're going to do anything about it, or whether you can do anything about it, you know. But it is absolutely stunning, you know. Oh, Charles, I'm sorry. What do you have to say about it? Oh, you're an INFP or INFJ, and you love Mother Earth. Yes, that is that. Now you're making yourself even more mysterious. But go ahead. What do you think, Charles?
Well, I think what I said last time about this dream was apparently a good interpretation, because Sarah said what I said felt like a gut punch. So I guess I'm just gonna stick with what I said last time, which I don't exactly remember, but I did notice one thing that was kind of peculiar. This is the way I looked at it, about the rat. It was like, you know, but it's, you know, the problem was solved by simultaneously making it spirit and killing it.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes me think that, you know, maybe for Sarah, the spirit is divided from earth or matter, by the barrier of death, and that something has to be almost like on the other side of life to be spiritual. I have no idea if that's true or not, but that's just kind of the idea that came to my head.
Well, that's what I mean. I'm still almost dizzied by the import of this dream and where we go from here. What do you think, Carl?
Everything everyone's saying, that's resonating with me. It seems to make sense. I know the rice is seen as a symbol of fertility in Indian culture. And I've also read that fields are generally symbolic of limitless possibilities. And then with everything else, it's just that everyone said that it all makes sense to me. Something that I don't know if anyone's mentioned it, but like her reaction to killing the rat, she feels bad that she's killed the rat. So I was wondering if it's kind of had a hunch the rat might symbolize something not as, it's kind of the opposite of this pure rice. It's something that she's afraid of is going to infect the rice. Infect the purity of the scene.
It's the defiler of this festival of assimilation in the realm of lightness,
Yes.
From the outer world. So it's like almost like an infestation from ego consciousness from the outer world. Yep. That has come to threaten this sacred place.
Exactly. So, yeah. About all I got for that.
Okay. Well, I would just say though that I would just sum up on this one that Sarah is being introduced to the depths in a very beautiful way, and being invited to assimilate its contents, and that's a great privilege, and it seems to be a loving request or a loving gift from the psyche to you. Please assimilate us, make us part of you. Now, is that going to open any doors for us? No, but it's going to be a beginning of the a door has opened where there was no door, but then it's going to lead to other doors to open. But Sarah, did you have any comments? I really feel like I can't do justice to the beauty of this dream. I mean, it's just very beautiful. And Dawn, before you came in, I just again was wanted to say how moving your dream was last time. That was a wonderful. I mean, both Roy and I were sort of reviewing it, how beautiful it was. That was a wonderful dream. And Tim, while I was sitting here thinking, I'm wondering if you could do this. You could ask the boarding house 4 questions. You could ask the diorama 4 questions. And you could ask the old couple 4 questions, whatever they are, whatever you think of. Ask all 4, those 4 figures 4 questions. And I think it will help us immeasurably. I mean, if we can hear a statement from the boarding house of what it is, from the diorama what it is, from the old man who he is, and from the old woman who she is. And I would only ask them either 2 to 4 questions apiece, and then just come back, and I bet we're all going to be amazed at how we misinterpreted this dream. I really do. But I think we just need now do it like you do your art, go into a meditative state And before you answer the question, you need to make your conscious awareness see through its eyes, and it needs to see you sitting there in your chair. So you want, before you answer, be able to see with its eyes yourself sitting in the chair, and then answer, you know. And just maybe just 2 questions apiece, and then if you could read the questions and the answers back to us next time you're here, I think we'll all be amazed at how we misinterpreted the dream. You know.
Oh, interesting. That's a great idea.
Yeah, I think, and I think we'll never forget this experience either. I kind of can't wait till you do it, because I think we're going to find out how dumb we are. I mean, I really think it's going to be an illuminating experience. And the reason I think it's so important is because this is an important dream. I know it is. But I feel frustrated that we're just sort of floundering around with it. And I think we would need to hear a statement from them, because I think it's an invitation for for something like that. Now, Carl, I mean, just to keep moving, Carl, if you have a dream that you want to discuss next time,
sure.
Why don't you either email it to us or just text us?
Okay.
And then I think, you know, I don't know who's next. I mean, Charles or Gary or Roy or Kevin, but I mean, whoever speaks up first next time, we'll do it. I think we did a Roy dream, so either Charles, Kevin, or Gary next time. I think probably it's your turn, Charles, but I'm sure you have a dream.
Yeah, I can grab one next time.
But also, Carl, you have so many dreams, and you seem to want. I just would like to take a couple minutes for maybe you to talk about. I just this is that I think I'm just telling you my own story. Is that you know, for me, my church is my own myth. I mean, my own images, not my images, actually. The images that are gifted to me by the depths, and trying to be the expression, the medium of expression for them in the outer world, and and also to provide some type of meaning to them. Now, I don't say that. First of all, I deeply respect the church, you know, and I deeply respect all mythic systems. But I think for myself, and I'm not saying for you necessarily, but for myself, I mean, the only, and it's nothing against the church, but the only possible meaning that can make my heart whole is what comes from the depths to me. And doing it, I at least, I don't know, why doesn't everybody just quickly describe their religious life? I'm not denigrating the collective church. Roy, can you just say a few words about your mythic existence?
Oh yeah, I'm really into Jung. It's individuation. You know, I have to experience life for myself. I have to have the numinous. I have to have that experience. That's what it's all about. I have to have adventures and have that happen. You know, that's my church. So everything's my church. Everything I do, the absurd and everything. It's, you don't know where it's going to come from.
Yeah, sure.
I think unless it moves our own heart, it's not real. What do you think, Gary? I mean, just can you kind of describe your spiritual life just in a few words?
Yeah, I'm really enjoying Hillman, you know. Which
yes, yes, he's beautiful.
And the whole idea of personification, archetypes, and I think too, some of the the work I've been doing, like on meditation and Reiki and things, which have kind of helped develop the felt senses. It feels like, I think we have to be careful not to treat this too much as a intellectual endeavor, because if we do, I think that we're not going to get there. And
Yeah.
so I'm trying to be careful with that.
Hillman really brings the music. I mean, he's the jazz musician of this symbolic work, and that's what I really like about him. Tim, do you just can you just kind of sum up your spiritual existence?
Sure, I come from a long line of liberal Methodists, and that's what I was rooted in, and very much carry on that tradition. But when I was about 13, I became enamored of Native American spirituality. So that's really become part of my my real spiritual upbringing in the world.
Yeah.
It's sinking into the earth and yet standing on the earth, and also an opening up to the wonders of the flora and fauna and the landscape around us.
Yeah,
and making it sacred.
And then Jung provides for me just another metaphor of reaching down into all of those depths that religion gives me a language for.
Almost makes it permeable and makes it speak with this magic power. Kevin, how about you? Can you just say a few words about your spiritual existence?
I was born. My first year at school was in a private Catholic school where we had nuns as principals. And then I moved to Norway. Norway is not really, it's a Christian country, but it's not really a Christian country. And I came, then I went into Islam. I was in Islam for a few years. I was heavy in Islam, I was really into Islam. And I went out of Islam, then I started believing in God. And when I started believing in God, that's when I had a dream and an experience. And since then, that's sort of been my religion. My religion is pretty much spirit. Like I asked my analyst before, do you believe in God? And he said to me, I believe in spirit. And I didn't quite know what he meant by that. But I feel like now I know by what he mean by that. Because spirits is co-creative with everything around them. And so it's so if you can understand everything around, like the Book of Changes is one of the examples and so on. So I believe in spirit. I don't believe in so whether you want to call it collective, personal, I think it's everything at once. And yeah.
How about you, Charles? I'd be interested. Carl, you'll have the last word. I just wanted to get it from everybody. What do you think, Charles? Do you have anything that you is your kind of anchor?
My anchor. Well, I'm fanatically interested in the nature of the physical universe just as much as the invisible, I would say. I mean, the invisible psyche, consciousness, collective unconscious, whatever, is just the non-detectable forces that pervade all of existence. We just can't really detect it. A psyche is all around us, constantly in action in life that we can't detect. It's only, obviously when we're sleeping or in some sort of hypnagogic state or something. Honestly, kind of the thing that my whole spiritual life centers around is something that I talked about a few months at least back during one of our Sunday sessions. It was
I remember that.
That was not recorded, and I don't think Roy saw that. So I can't really go into explaining all of it right now, but I mean, really, I'm more interested in I really like Jung, and I like Jungian psychology, but I'm mostly interested in ancient cultures and what they thought. I am someone that takes their word for their word. I don't belittle the ancient cultures and say that they were superstitious or they didn't know what they were talking about. They absolutely knew what they were talking about. But when I was a little kid, the very first time I saw the pyramids, and the second I knew that we really don't know how they did it, I instantly knew that there's something here. And I'm absolutely fascinated with ancient cultures. And I mean, my anchoring standpoint is very obscure and strange. And, you know, I think that the Earth is not even millions of years old. I don't think our solar system is even millions of years old. I don't believe in evolution, all these very, very weird types of things, but I have my reasons for them. And I think that, I mean, we literally, it's like all matter is like the living flesh of God. That's, I mean, and we're directly connected to things and to love. And I think, you know, honestly, the purpose of life for me is just to heal ourselves, just so that we can actually love. Because most people, I didn't realize until I had my experience that I spoke about, which was the night before Thanksgiving 2016, I didn't realize that I had forgotten what love was. And I got to experience it again.
That is your founding myth, the one of Nefertiti and her headdress and
Isis.
Yeah, Isis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's what my spiritual life revolves around. It's just actually, that's my goal. It's just trying to get myself straight enough to be able to love.
Yeah, I have a kind of a feeling about that too. It's called holotropism, where everything is alive. You know, I mean, everything's alive. Yeah. Dawn and Sarah, it would be interesting to just hear a few words. You don't have to, but just if you have anything. Go ahead, Sarah. Yeah, it's not coming through very good, Sarah. Yeah, we can't, I don't think we can hear it, your microphone. I'm sorry.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, not too well.
I don't think it's not coming through.
Oh, now it is. Go ahead. Just there it was. Okay. It was at the end, Sarah, right before you muted. Well, anyway, Carl, Dawn, do you have anything or that you wanted to share?
Yeah, I know you're out of time, so I'll just say this really quick. You used the word anchor, so that helps me say it quickly. I've lost mine when all this happened. When all this happened to me, I started. Religion was deep in me, and it still is. It's really deep. Like, I can logically, come up with things and question it, but it doesn't matter because it's in there so deep. And so when I had those things going on, it caused a lot of chaos. And so I'm just standing here right now, not knowing what's coming next. I feel like I'm losing my anchor.
Well, I think you had kind of a founding myth with the last dream you had. And Sarah, maybe you could just type a few words to me and just email it to me. Or go ahead, Sarah, see if you can say it.
I'm just seeing if it works now. I'm not
Yeah,
sure
it's working. Go ahead.
Oh, cool. My views are a lot like Charles. I was raised Christian, but I started asking a lot of questions when I started finding books about Egypt and stuff like that. I was also very curious on how, the pyramids were built and how that was possible, and if there was some sort of ancient knowledge that we didn't understand. And that led me to looking into ancient religions and ancient cultures and their beliefs, and trying to kind of branch out and try to find little bits of truth in all of them, because I feel like you can find the truth if you can find all the pieces that are alike, you know,
Mhm.
in the ancient religions. But I also feel I'm very like spiritual, and I believe in energy, and I believe that the that God is kind of like everything, like the universe, all the pieces, all the planets, the suns, us, that we're all part of God. So we're all pieces of God. And that we also have a lot more power than what, you know, is believed in the Christian religion. That we can tap into it. And I do believe in like Reiki, and I'm learning Reiki. And I believe that the earth also has healing abilities as well. So I'm definitely very, definitely into kind of like a mix of pagan, kind of like a mix of a bunch of different beliefs, I guess. Very open-minded about all of that. That's just like a kind of quick overview of my beliefs.
Yeah, well, I would say that you have a mark on you by last dream. I mean, that you've been singled out, and you know the fact that the Earth is alive is that's
Yeah, to me
very
the earth
important
is
to
very,
me. Yeah.
yeah, I feel like the earth is very alive. I feel like all the planets are alive, but I definitely feel something very special about the earth for sure, because of all of the biological life on it. You know, it's like, it's definitely an amazing place. So it's very special to me.
Imagine
Very
yourself standing on the moon and seeing
yeah,
a celestial object about 5 or 6 times the size of the moon looks on her, and it's
with all the
blue
colors,
and
blue and
green
green,
and white.
gorgeous. Yeah.
Can you imagine seeing that the Earth rise and the moon?
I'm so thankful every day. I'm so thankful that I get to be part of this earth and be a part of biological life, even though it's something that I do obviously have a hard time accepting, that part of myself, the biological part. It's a little disturbing, but it's definitely something very precious
It'd be a
and
very
rare.
special
And
place
I think it's,
for a worshiper of the Earth to stand on the moon and watch it rise.
oh yeah,
To
definitely.
me, I mean, it's just something I've always wanted to do. Well, anyway, Carl, thank you, everybody. Carl, all I'm saying is that, you know, it's a journey, and
Oh yeah.
don't get too bogged down in the Baptist
No,
church. I mean, even though nothing against the Baptists or the
no, it's
Presbyterians.
I kind of started going there because I moved up here, and the only people I know go there. My grandmother used to go there, so it's. But really, I mean, I've had profound spiritual experiences with Buddhism, Christianity, you know, Hindu-like visions. I've had Native American, very geometrical, like Southwest, you know, style art visions, and but I believe that God is in everything that lives.
Immanence. This is what
Yeah,
James Hillman tells us about, and that's kind of one of the reasons I think I'm like Gary, that Hillman is the God of immanence. He's everywhere. You know, he's a
yeah. Like Spinoza would say, I guess, you know, I think he would say that sort of stuff. You know, I'm interested in panpsychism, and as far as Christianity goes, I'm really kind of more of a Gnostic. Like, you know, I try to. I didn't really go there thinking I'm gonna be just like these folks, but you know what I mean. I don't know, but I didn't like. I wasn't like, well, I think this and that. You know, like I'd be a total heretic if I really voiced exactly, you know, what I believe.
Yeah, that's the problem. There's a little bit of opaqueness in the collective churches. At some point, there's good people there, but at the end of the day, it's a little opaque.
Yeah,
it's not transparent.
Yeah,
And
like it seems like I don't know if I mentioned this. I think I mentioned this to Roy earlier today. Like they're boxing in, they talk about idolatry, but or I mean, people in the church often do, but I mean, idolatry is like worshiping something where God isn't. Like so often, like they're just worshiping images, or you know, even though they say they're not. Like if this thing doesn't have any power in it, you know, if God's not in that, like what are you worshiping? You know, or I don't know.
Well, okay, I'm going to tell you one quick thing, and then we got to go. There's 4 functions of religion. 2 are biological and will always be with us and with everyone, and that is the great mystery of being conscious, and what are we related to. The other one is one that's far from us but still should be here, and that's the rituals of transformation into the group. See, we don't do that anymore, so we don't have a sense of belonging. Now, those were 2 of the fundamental purposes of a myth. Now, the other 2 are sociocultural, and that is of the taboo system. What is taboo here? And what's taboo in 1920 is different than what was taboo in 1950, and it's different what's taboo in 2020, you know.
Or the Bronze Age.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at every decade, the ethical morality has evolved, you know. And the 4th function is the etiological, which is the explanatory. Why is the blue jay's feathers blue? Well, you don't go to the minister anymore to ask that. You go to a ornithologist, you know.
Yeah.
But anyway, the aspect of myth that will always be with us, the ethical about adultery and everything like that changes with places. Like look at in Alaska, the shamans, if they are adulterers, their power becomes greater, you know. And it's different in Polynesia or South Africa or in the steppes of Siberia or someplace, you know. It's very cultural and society based, and so that really is more of a human aspect of, but then it becomes the most important part of the myth, and it isn't. It's the biological aspect that's the most important.
That's the thing that's so frustrating is like, I'm like, well, this is group, or is this about getting in touch with the spirit, or is this groupthink and indoctrination and controlling, you know? Or
it's just a little opaque, and when they start going there, anyway. All right, well, Tim, next time if you can tell us what the 4 figures in that dream told us, I would be very interested to hear. Okay.
All right, I'll do that. Thanks.
All right, and then Carl or Charles or Gary. Okay, and Sarah and Dawn, they were profound dreams. Thank you so much. Well, see you next time, everybody. Sorry I went a little long. Okay. Bye now.
Night, everyone.